And welcome to the 194th Sovereigns Parade here at the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst on Friday the 9th of April 21. My name's Major Lydia Kaguda from the Staff and Personnel Support Branch, and I'm joined here today with Major Carl Taylor. Good morning, Carl.
Good morning, Lydia, and absolutely fantastic to be back here in the grounds of the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst.
Yes, Carl, you say that to be back. Just give our viewers a quick snapshot of your time here at the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst.
Of course, background Welsh Guards, and I have been a colour sergeant here in 2006 to 2008. Back here again as the Company Sergeant Major, and then as the Academy Sergeant Major in 2017.
So you've clearly done a number of these parades in your time. How many parades have you done during your time at Sandhurst, Carl?
Overall, about 18 parades, but that is in particular with commissioning parades. There are various other parades that we do, presentation of colours and Sandhurst colours as well when we march through the town.
And I think it's important to mention the number of parades that ordinarily would happen at the Academy. We can see there coming onto the parade square that we have the Academy Adjutant on his charge, who is Sovereign Shadow today. But normally the horses would have been sort of well versed in doing parades, but I know from speaking to the adjutant that one of the issues this time round has been the lack of experience and practice that the horses have had due to COVID. They've not had the same exposure to sort of big crowds, to people, so clearly that's something that they've had to rehearse quite a bit of over the past few days, just getting the horses ready for the parade. We can also see there that we've got the stick orderlies coming onto the parade, and I think you're going to tell us a bit more about those later, Carl.
Yeah, as you can see, the adjutant on his horse marching onto Old College Parade Ground with the officer cadets behind him. He is flanked by Academy Sergeant Major Andrew Purcell from the Irish Guards, and then, as you mentioned, with the escorts as the stick orderlies.
And what's interesting today is that actually we only have the senior division on parade. Ordinarily we would have the other divisions there as well, but again, due to COVID, this is something that's had to be amended. Due to COVID, the training has had to be adapted significantly, and I think it's been a real testament to the staff here at the Academy who have worked really hard to ensure that the training has allowed to continue with minimal disruption. But in order for them to do that, they've had to create platoon level households, which means that when they have been doing their sort of training serials, social distancing measures have been permitted to be reduced in order to maintain those training outputs.
Yes, and due to the COVID epidemic, we have seen a slight difference in this year's parade, as we've seen for the last 3 parades, where COVID has affected the turnout. Unfortunately, we have no family or friends able to attend today to watch, and we are missing the intermediate and junior term. So as you can see there, we have just the senior term that have completed their 44 weeks training. We'll go on to that later, but they will be the only ones on parade with the band of the British Army Band Tidworth.
And for this term in particular, these guys started their training back in May last year, and so they've had a full year under COVID measures. So their training and their Sandhurst experience, I think, will have been quite different to what previous intakes would have had. Social events would have been disrupted. The number of sporting events that you'd ordinarily do at Sandhurst, they won't have had those same opportunities. So it will have been, you know, a real struggle for them over the last year in terms of the COVID situation. So they'll be, I think, relieved to be at this point in their training and passing off the parade today. There we can see we've actually got the Old College adjutant on parade today, because the new college adjutant is hopefully at home looking after his newborn baby.
Sandhurst will form 2 ranks. Form 2 ranks.
Academy Adjutant Chris Davis now getting the officer cadets ready to start the parade.
Men, open order. Inwards! Dress!
Lydia, I just think it's important to note here that at the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst is recognised as a world-leading military training academy and very much the spiritual home of the British Army officer, and indeed officers who have commissioned from all around the world and then go on to lead their soldiers and many challenges that they face, and taking them with the motto, serve to lead.
Absolutely, Carl. We have 197 officer cadets on commissioning this term. Of these 171, 150 male, 21 female of the UK officer cadets, but we also have 26 international cadets, 23 male and 3 female from 15 different countries.
Spectacular view of Old College there, and certainly 44 weeks ago these young officers would have gone up those very same steps called Ironing Board Sunday, where they actually turn up with all the kit and the iron board to go up the steps.
Arms! March on! The sovereign's banner uncoloured!
An important part of the parade, you'll see the colours coming out of Old College now.
Present! Arms!
As you can see in front, that is the Sovereign's banner with the escort. The colours have just halted between the senior term cadets, and the band have played Point of War as they march on parade, one of the key moments of any parade involving colours or banners.
Colour and banner party! Present! Out! Sandhurst! Salute! Arms! Sandhurst! Shoulder! Arms! Sandhurst! Stand at ease! Stand! Easy!
And now, Carl, I think we're going to be presented with an opportunity to have a look at some of the training that the cadets have been conducting during their time here.
Delta, Simon! Yeah, what are you going to do, mate?
So I'm Officer Cadet Ivo Armand. I'm in 12th Platoon Guards Company. We've just finished a company deliberate attack coming up the slope from down the bottom up to some pretty muddy Brecon tracks. We started off very early in the dark and the fog, using our night vision to make our way up all the way up to the objective.
So I'm Maisie Ludwig, Officer Cadet Ludwig. This morning we've been conducting a company deliberate attack in this area. It's been one of the more complicated ones that we've done so far.
It's quite a difficult objective, probably the hardest one that we've done. So many different moving parts, and the fact that the enemy were able to choose exactly how they wanted to defend it. It wasn't just an easy, you know, there's the enemy, roll through. They chose the best points to defend, and we had no idea really where they might be.
For the first time we've had the whole of the company command being run by fellow officer cadets. So they're now being challenged to organise the whole company as well as just their platoon level actions.
Go!
We're wearing some equipment called TES that allows us to track where we are, where we're firing, and so then afterwards you can look at an after-action review, a bit like what they do with the sort of sports on the TV, and they can show where everyone was, what they could have done better.
Get upwards, slightly out to the left, all right?
Sandhurst is meant to be an 11-month course. However, I was part of the leadership development course beforehand, just to get me ready and in a better position for the course itself, which was really enjoyable.
Yeah, it's a culmination of all the things we've learned from the past 11 months, the teamwork, the resilience aspect, getting out into the countryside in Brecon and other places. So it does feel like the kind of culmination of everything that we have learned up to this point, and trying to put that into practice.
Been both mentally and physically really demanding.
The experience we've had during coronavirus when the country's been in lockdown, and being able to get out here and be with a platoon in your sort of platoon bubble has been really, really good.
I'm joining the Royal Regiment of Artillery, so I'm really excited to be going to phase 2 from the end of April.
After this, in a few weeks' time, I'll hopefully go off to phase 2 training in Dorset and go and learn to drive Challenger tanks with the QRH.
And we're just waiting for the Sovereign's representative to arrive. And in order for it to be a Sovereign's parade, the representative would be appointed by Her Majesty the Queen. And this time our Sovereign's representative will be General Sir Nick Carter.
Incredible, joyous and proud moment for each officer cadet stood here on parade today to have the honour of not only commissioning as an officer into Her Majesty's Armed Forces and indeed the international cadets from around the world. It is great to have the live stream ability here for those that simply cannot make it due to the pandemic, so I hope you are sat here enjoying the spectacle and acknowledging the officer cadets that are about to commission.
And the stick orderlies will have made their way down the walk in order to greet the Sovereign's representative. There we can see Commander Sandhurst Group with the Sovereign's representative, General Sir Nicholas Patrick Carter. We can see General Capps, the Commandant. And interestingly, both General Capps and General Sir Nick Carter served together in Afghanistan, first time in 2002 when General Carter was a colonel and General Capps was a major. And again in 2012 when General Carter was the Deputy Commander of the International Security Force as a Lieutenant General, and General Capps was there as a Brigadier Commander Joint Force Support.
As they make their way up King's Walk, you can see they're flanked by an honour guard consisting of the Gurkhas. Gurkha Company Satang is based in Sandhurst to assist the officer cadets through their training. So they provide the honour guard and they are providing a present arms which is the highest compliment you can pay for a rifle. Speaking to Major Om this morning, who's about to remove onto another posting, he has been absolutely influential in their support to these officer cadets.
We can see the stick orderlies. We have Officer Cadet Irwin, due to commission into the RAMC, Officer Cadet On, who will commission into the Royal Artillery.
General salute. Present. On.
So the adjutant you'll see now going forward towards the dais to state the parade. And then he will invite the Sovereign's representative to conduct an inspection. Extremely difficult to ride a horse, Lydia, especially on parade like this, not only to maintain the correct position on that horse, but guiding it around the parade ground with all the marching troops and the band playing can be quite uncertain for what the horse could potentially do. So great bit of skill there by Major Chris Davis, the adjutant.
I think it's also worth mentioning, Carl, that this is actually his first Sovereign's Parade. The adjutant role handed over a few weeks ago, so this is his first time as adjutant at Sandhurst. Well, we spoke about the stick orderlies. The other two stick orderlies that we have is Officer Cadet Whittingham, who's due to commission into the Royal Artillery, and Officer Cadet Swift, who will commission into the Royal Regiment of Fusiliers.
Okay, this stage of the parade will be the inspection, and what will happen is the Sovereign's representative, escorted by the ADC and the Commandant, will make their way to the left-hand side of the screen, and you will see where he's been met by the Academy Sergeant Major and the Senior Under Officer, who will then escort the Sovereign's rep and the party throughout the inspection.
And the Senior Under Officer today is Senior Under Officer Benjamin Liu, who is due to commission into the Parachute Regiment, and who is also the Sword of Honour winner. And interestingly, one of our other prize winners, the winner of the Queen's Medal, so Junior Under Officer Tariq Ali, the two of them have actually met prior to Sandhurst. They both studied history at Oxford in the same year. They were both in the same section on their reserve course, and they're now here at Sandhurst together, and both due to commission into the Parachute Regiment. And Carl, you mentioned earlier, so how are our stick orderlies, how are they selected?
So pretty much at the beginning of the final term, stick orderlies are required to escort, as you can see, the inspection party, and in particular the Sovereign's representative. And these are selected from the companies, from the intake, and then they go through some form of rigorous drill with both the company Sergeant Major for those companies, and then indeed the new college regimental Sergeant Major. And the top four get selected. So it's an extreme privilege to be a stick orderly, to escort these important representatives.
We can also see there, as part of the inspection party, we have Captain Sam Richardson, the aide-de-camp, the Commandant.
We've also got Glenn Horton, who is also the Senior Enlisted Advisor to the Chiefs of Staff, who's escorting the Chief of Defence Staff, which incidentally this is his second time as Sovereign's Rep, who was 3 years ago back as the Chief of General Staff.
And Glenn Horton has also been here as the Academy Sergeant Major. In fact, he was here, so Carl and I have actually met at Sandhurst previously. I was here as a platoon commander, and Carl was the company sergeant major, and I think Glenn Horton was the academy sergeant major at that time.
That's right, I was a company sergeant major at the time, yes. Just to let you know, while the inspection's going on, the selection of music is not just randomly picked out, but also it's selected by, so normally what happens is the band will create a date in the diary where the Academy Sergeant Major, the Commandant, and normally the Academy Adjutant will sit down in a room and hear a selection of music chosen by the band specific to this particular type of parade, whether it's a winter theme, a summer theme, and it depends who the Sovereign's rep is. And it gets whittled down to a number of specific tunes that you'll hear. We've got a gap at the moment, but it's normally about 3 or 5 different pieces of music during inspection. So as soon as the music kicks in, we can sit back and enjoy the music that's been selected for you for this day.
And I believe that selection process also involves a glass of port.
Of course, and indeed for the Academy Adjutant, who will definitely need this for his voice.
And you talk about the music, we now have coming on Soul Bossa Nova, which many of you may recognise as the tune from Austin Powers.
And music's an absolute important part of the parade because it gives people something to think about while the long inspection process is taking place and keep people switched on. Let's enjoy the music now, shall we, Lydia?
Great idea, Carl.
Okay, whilst you're enjoying the music there, you would have noticed that the inspection party would have saluted the colours to the left-hand side as they move from the left-hand side of the parade ground to the right.
And you're going to tell us a bit more about the colours, Carl?
The colours are an absolute symbol of every unit in the British Army and indeed in other armies across the world. They hold the battle honours and the insignia for that regiment or that unit that represents. They're also a rallying point during the chaos of battle so that we can identify the colours and know who to report to. They're normally kept with a commander, and even in regiments you will, if you go to a commanding officer's office or indeed a company commander's office, they will always have their own colours in that office and they're always escorted and protected wherever they go.
And colours were first presented to the Royal Military College at Sandhurst in 1813 by Her Majesty Queen Charlotte. But the colours on parade today were presented on the 21st of June 2005.
The officer cadets would have been up early this morning, Lydia, for certainly a bit of physical training to get those the blood pumping through the body, followed by indeed a hearty breakfast. And this is really the norm, especially prior to large ceremonial spectacles such as this. I remember as a young guardsman many years ago in battalion based in Wellington Barracks in London, prior to a trooping of the colour, being warmed up by Mr. Motivator, followed by other fitness personalities each year. But the breakfast is an important one, and it gives them the energy and able to conduct the hour-long or so parade, fully concentrating on all the drill movements, position and reaction together as the team.
And it's quite important for the cadets on parade just to keep those toes moving in their boots and shoes.
Of course, Lydia, the cadets will be on parade pretty much 30 minutes before this form-up, before even marching on, and they would have rehearsed some drill movements just to finalise any intricate pieces that they need to do prior to the parade. They'll be concentrating, as I used to tell my cadets, from head to toe, just slight, really slight adjustments in keeping that blood pumped in throughout the body. The position of attention, as you can see with the swords held, can create your right arm to be numb, and certainly those fingers will definitely get cold. So it's important to keep slight movement in order to keep that blood circulating. You've also got at the rear, and you'll see later on in the screen, you'll have the colour sergeants and company majors on parade as well. Still guiding the officer cadets, making sure they're in the correct position and keeping them switched on. That is the inspection phase now complete, Lydia.
So we'll now see the inspection party move back round to the dais.
Fantastic view then again of Old College. As you can see on the top centre of Old College on the facade is the relief of Mars and Minerva, something that all of the cadets will see as they arrive and leave, reminding them that they must combine the virtues of both war and wisdom. The college is fronted by a series of cannons which are also captured in various battles, including 2 from Waterloo and 1 from the Russians during the Crimea. With the inspection phase now finished, you will see movement now where the Academy Adjutant will position the troops ready to march around in the first part of the marching process, where they will conduct a slow and quick time march around the parade ground.
Sovereign platoon! Shun! Sovereign platoon! Close order! March! Slow! On! The Sovereign platoon will advance! Find the right! Quick march! Direction line!
You may have heard this music recently in the Trooping of the Colours. So those of you who have seen the Trooping of the Colours, the British Grenadier, as they march forward now, the Sovereign's platoon to collect the Sovereign's banner. Escorted at the rear with the Academy Sergeant Major, who will then go on to collect the colour and hand it over to the ensign.
And the Sovereign's platoon is as a result of the Sovereign's banner competition, which includes a number of enduring exercises throughout their time at Sandhurst, but also performance in some of the academic studies that the cadets face here at the Academy.
Sovereign's platoon in open order! Right! Dress!
Academy Sergeant Major will step off from the rear now. And move forward to collect the Sovereign's banner. Academy Sergeant Major getting ready to hand over the colour as soon as the ensign puts away his sword. And you'll notice that the Academy Sergeant Major is actually carrying a sword himself, which is one of the very rare occasions that a warrant officer will bear a sword on parade. The other is a Regimental Sergeant Major of a Guards company in London.
Arms!
The Sovereign's banner was presented to the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst by Her Majesty the Queen at a ceremony on the forecourt of Buckingham Palace on the 19th of March 1999.
By the right, slow, march!
So as you can see, the Sovereign's platoon now advancing in slow time. They've done a ceremonial right turn, and now they left wheel twice to get onto the main inspection line, and they'll actually, in normal circumstances, will troop the colour, or troop the Sovereign's banner in this particular point, through the ranks. In a short while you'll hear the band cut out so that the troops can present arms ready for the colour.
Sandhurst, present arms!
And the reason why the colour is trooped through the ranks is so that, in particular when we get a new colour, and certainly in Troop of the Colour in London, the soldiers, officers and non-commissioned officers can identify their colour. So at that time in battle where it needs to be rallied towards, they know exactly what colour to look for.
of the more recent changes that the Academy has seen over the past few years is the integration of training. So we now have male and female cadets serving together in the same platoons. Certainly when I came through the Academy, that wasn't the case. And I think when I was here as a platoon commander, I think it might have been my intake was one of the last intakes where the male and females were still separated in their training.
You also noticed that there are a number of cadets that are also wearing medals as well, and these are often had previous service or that have commissioned through the ranks, identified by their units of going to Sandhurst to become a commissioned officer.
At the ADC to the Commandant, commissioned from the ranks.
Sandhurst platoon, present arms! Sandhurst! Load! Arms! Sandhurst! Place order! March!
So one of the things we noticed there, Carl, that some of the cadets have rifles. If we'd had the other divisions on parade, they would have had rifles rather than swords. But what's the reason behind that, Carl?
So as you can see, the Sovereign's platoon, the majority have swords. On the extremities, they are carrying rifles, and this is to provide that flank protection for the Sovereign's banner. As we begin the slow march past, you will see that they have right-wheeled. So whereas you have seen a frontage called a column, this is now called a division. So each of the companies have been split into two, with the officers, or the senior officers and junior officers, in the centre.
This particular piece is By Land and Sea by Alford. You can see there the adjutant of Old College, who's the parade's second in command, Captain Dan Gregory, KRH.
And just in front of him was the new college Regimental Sergeant Major, W1 Forat from the Scots Guards. Cadets would have done a number of rehearsals, certainly on their own as divisions or companies, and then combined together as a whole intake with the band to ensure that everyone keeps in step, is the correct location from each other, and as you can see now, wheeling all together in a particular line. So this will be now divisions into column.
Again, we can see Sovereign Shadow there. I think it's doing a very good job today.
Yeah, normally we have a white horse that the Academy adjutant normally rides, but this is particular brown. Academy adjutant doing a fantastic job on the horse there, keeping it central, As he comes and approaches the dais, he'll be saluting to the right, and then you'll see each of the divisions then given an eyes right towards the Sovereign's representative. Absolute concentration on the cadet's face there, as you can see, all shoulder to shoulder. You would have seen the rear rank going into open order as they pass the dais.
And although we haven't got the families here today, hopefully they're all watching at home and appreciating what an immensely proud moment this is for the cadets on parade today. Notice one of the officer cadets there had a moustache. I believe that was intentional to make it easy for his family to recognise him whilst watching at home.
Of course, cadets will normally at this occasion have their family and friends, and they'd be trying to spot their family and friends throughout the parade, as well as trying to concentrate on their own personal drill. What was it like for you, Lydia, as you were marching past? Were you looking for your family and friends, or were you just concentrating on the drill?
I think I was probably just concentrating on the drill, Carl. I don't think that was one of my strong points. But no, it was an immensely proud moment. I was fortunate that my Sovereign's Parade was in fact the last one that Her Majesty the Queen did herself. Back in 2006, and she did one too before that, because they were also the parades that commissioned Prince Harry and Prince William.
Of course. A sigh of relief really at this moment when the cadets are marching past, because they've been stood still for quite a bit of time during inspection, so it's actually nice to get the body moving. As you can see, the front three junior under officers will be flourishing their swords, which is why the swords are down by the right hand side, whilst the rest of the platoons are maintaining the sword in the carry position.
Mentioned previously that we have our international cadets on parade. Some of the countries represented here today include Afghanistan, Azerbaijan, Bahrain, Colombia, Ghana, Hungary, Iraq, Jamaica, Kosovo, Nigeria, Pakistan, Qatar, Thailand, UAE and Ukraine. Thing Sandhurst has is an impressive alumni, particularly on the international side, and there are currently 7 serving heads of state that have commission from Sandhurst.
I had the pleasure of working with one particular head of state, who's King Abdullah II of Jordan, when I was posted there for 2 years. And I remember distinctly, as Academy Sergeant on a parade, when he gave his speech, that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with just one step. And today, the officer cadets are taking that one step to join the British Army to become our future leaders.
I believe they'll shortly be getting ready to move into quick time.
Yeah, of course, the slow march pass is almost complete now. They've gone through and give their salute to the dais and gone through what's called Chaos Corner, where we get Quite a lot of concentrated officer cadets in one position in order to get around. You will notice the band will cut out shortly and they'll break into quick times, and the music again will change into a faster tempo.
We just hope as the COVID restrictions start to ease that we'll be able to invite friends and family back into the academy next term. As they break into the march past in quick time, the first piece of music that we have is General Mitchell by Brown Hall.
You notice that most of the officer cadets are carrying swords, the ones with rifles we talked about, but other personnel on parade, the staff carrying pay sticks, and this was a implement or device used for measuring the distances by the Royal Artilleries between guns, now taken on by infantry soldiers and in particular the guards, to carry out precise pacing and control between each rank.
And every year Sandhurst hosts the International Pace Sticking Competition.
And that's right, normally during the summer, so we have a bit better weather, but certainly anyone from across the international community invited over to Sandhurst to take part in the pace sticking competition.
I believe the Chelsea pensioners also put in a team. I believe it was a team from Pakistan who won the last international pace sticking competition.
Yeah, that's right, with the incredible drill display. So as you can see, the adjutant now taking front stage as the quick march moves past the dais. And as you notice, on the slow march, the junior officers would have flourished. We can't do this in quick time, so we stay in the carry, and eyes are headed over to the right-hand side for the dais.
And this particular piece is St. Patrick's Day.
This was our major New College, W1 Forat at the rear, just making sure the officer cadets are coming round and in the correct position, ready for the halt, where they will advance in review order.
And that was Chaos Corner that you described earlier, wasn't it, Carl?
Absolutely, and certainly in London, when we do the Troop of the Colour, that is particular carnage, and it takes great skill to make sure that all the lines are correct and position between troops are absolutely spot on. Remember, the officer cadets are still in the position of column, so they went from division to column, so they're still in a straight line. At this stage, they will then be left forming at the halt, so you'll see them all left turn and then halt exactly as they were for the inspection. It's a chance for the officer cadets to get their dressing absolutely spot on before they will advance in review order. Prize winners now in position. Again, you hear this music, the British Grenadiers, as the Sovereign's platoon went forward earlier on. The same is played for this particular part of the parade.
I would say at once that if I could exchange my rank my pay, and what material possessions I have for your inexperience, your youth, and above all, your future, I would quickly exchange places with any one of you on parade today. It is a proud day, and it has been a fine parade. You have shown great precision and panache. Your drill and bearing have been immaculate. And I know the pride etched in your faces is mirrored in those of your instructors, who recognised in you that spark of potential, that fighting spirit, those qualities that make a soldier and shape a leader, and whose hard work enabled you to be where you are today. You have had a hard time of it with COVID, and it is very sad that your families and friends are not here to celebrate your commissioning. Nonetheless, their love and support will have fortified you, and they will continue to be a source of strength, even if they are not here to witness this moment. You start your career in interesting times. At no point in my service can I remember a time when the strategic context was more dynamic or complex. Indeed, the defining characteristic seems to be one of instability, and the breadth of threats and security challenges is bewildering. Information is changing the character of warfare, which means the operating environment in which you will serve is much less certain. It is more complex, and it will be more dispersed. Paradoxically, I cannot remember a time when our army enjoyed more approval from the British people. But conversely, I also cannot remember a time when we were less well understood, with our popularity too often being based on sympathy and not on empathy. We are admired, though, because we still put country before self. We commit ourselves unreservedly to the service of the nation, and we believe in living by values and standards that set us apart from other occupations. For those graduating today, including, pleasingly, 25 overseas cadets from 15 countries, this is a significant moment. It is about celebrating what you have accomplished so far, but it is also about the anticipation of what you can accomplish in a lifetime of selfless service. You are about to accept a great responsibility to lead soldiers, an honour that demands unfailing competence, commitment and character each and every day. As officers, you have been selected individually to lead your fellow countrymen in battle in defence of the values we hold dear. And your country could do you no higher honour. Whatever happens to you, whatever rank you achieve, whatever recognition you receive, you will never have a greater compliment paid to you. And in return for that honour and that trust, when you leave here, you will live up to the fine traditions of an officer in our army. However far your careers take you, always remember where you started. In the years ahead, your soldiers will look to you for guidance and inspiration. They will model their behaviour on your behaviour. They will draw their courage from your steadfastness. The be-all and end-all of being an officer is leadership. Leadership is about getting others to do things and getting them to do them willingly. And in the army, these will often be very unpleasant and dangerous things. Although leadership is a very personal matter, I have always believed that there are certain qualities that are more important than others. I will give you 4 that have helped me throughout my career. First, there is courage. Fortunately, you come from a country that has never wanted for courage. But as an officer, you will need to show more courage than your soldiers. You will need to set an example, to lead from the front, and never expect your soldiers to do something that you wouldn't do yourself. This requires physical courage. But there is another kind of courage you need as an officer. You must have moral courage. Moral courage is a much rarer quality than physical courage. Moral courage means you do what you think is right without realising that you are doing it. It's about setting standards of decency and behaviour, even when that may be unpopular, or risk ridicule or danger, because that is what is right. Every time you pull up one of your soldiers for failing to meet your standards, you will build up your stock of moral courage and earn their respect. Courage, both physical and moral, creates the strength upon which fighting spirit and success in the fight depend. Second, there is integrity. Integrity has a unique significance to soldiering and is an essential ingredient of good leadership. It starts with being honest, not only with yourself, but with the soldiers you lead and those with whom you work. Honesty and integrity are things that you cannot compromise nor alter. They are the critical foundation for earning the loyalty and trust of those you lead and those you serve. It is about doing as you would be done by. And remember, the standard you walk past without taking action is the standard you accept and how you will be judged. Third, there is judgment. Judgment means being able to assess a situation quickly in relation to your values and under difficult circumstances. And judgment is only learned by practice and experience. You must have the humility to listen and learn, for this is how you will gain wisdom and the ability to exercise judgment. You may face action day after day, week after week, virtually alone, with only your conscience to guide you. You will rely on your integrity and judgment, especially on today's dispersed battlefields, where it is the quality of junior leadership that matters. Fourth, there is knowledge and understanding. If you are to have the courage and the willpower to take the initiative, you must have knowledge. And that is often the challenge of leadership, to keep the balance between strength of will and flexibility of mind. When you command a platoon, you should not be satisfied until you have more knowledge than any member of your platoon. But you won't achieve this unless you have the humility and the patience to listen to your soldiers. And by the way, the command of a platoon is, I think, the best command you will ever have. I have been fortunate to command at every level, from a platoon to an army. And a platoon is the only command in which I could claim to know properly all of those under my command. And that is my final piece of advice for you. When it comes to knowledge, nothing is more important than knowledge of your soldiers. It is not enough to be the best soldier in your platoon, to be the strongest, the toughest, the most resilient, or the most intelligent. You must be their leader, and this brings with it the absolute responsibility to put their care at the forefront of everything you do. That is why the motto at this academy is serve to lead, because it is through that sense of serving your soldiers, based on really knowing what makes them tick, and then genuinely caring for them, that real leadership is based. So know your job and know your soldiers. There are many other qualities that make a good leader, but these are the four I would wish to commend to you that have served me well: courage, integrity, judgment, and knowledge and understanding. There is not one of you passing out today who has not got these qualities. So by standing here today, you have earned the right to be an officer. I will leave you with one last thought. There are many things I have learned throughout my service, but it was in the early years that the simplest proved to be the most important. And that is that soldiering is about comradeship. It surrounds you with warmth and strength at the very moment when you are feeling cold and weak. It encourages your finest instincts. It forces you to recognize the duty that comes with friendship, and it obliges you never to let your friends down. So as you go with all our hopes and prayers, but also with our confidence that each one of you is ready to write the next chapter in your life and that of our army. God bless you, God bless your families, God bless your country, and God bless Her Majesty the Queen.
Sandhurst!
Now we have our prize winners getting into position to receive their awards.
Stand! Easy!
International Award presented by the State of Qatar. The International Award is awarded to the international cadet who has achieved the best overall result in military, academic and practical studies. Today it is awarded to Officer Cadet Bertalan Tree from Hungary. The Queen's Medal. The Queen's Medal is awarded to the officer cadet who has achieved the best overall result in military, academic and practical studies. Today it is awarded to Junior Under Officer Tariq Ali, who is to be commissioned into the Parachute Regiment.
Junior Under Officer Ali, who spent time as a teaching assistant.
International Sword, presented by the State of Kuwait. The International Sword is awarded to the international cadet considered by the Commandant to be the best of the intake. Today it is awarded to Officer Cadet Ilyana Bunyaku from the Republic of Kosovo.
Officer Cadet Bunjaku is a keen sportswoman, including volleyball and football.
The Sword of Honour. The Sword of Honour is awarded to the officer cadet considered by the Commandant to be the best of the intake. Today it is awarded to Senior Under Officer Benjamin Liu, who is to be commissioned into the Parachute Regiment.
It's worth noting that all of these prize winners have been exceptional throughout the term and would have competed against every single other officer cadet for that particular award.
Sandhurst! Turn! Sandhurst! Slow! Arms! Sandhurst! General salute! Present! Arms! Sandhurst! Slow! Arms!
Major Chris Davis, the adjutant, will now ask for leave to march the senior division up the Old College steps.
And this is a moment that they'll all have been waiting for.
Sandhurst!
colours get repositioned now towards the centre. As you can see in the background, the band just adjusting their position so that the officer cadets march up the centre of those steps. Just while the band are getting into position, you will notice right at the end the adjutant will be the last person with the horse to ride up the steps, and this is dates back all the way to from July 1926, where General Sir Frederick Browning, known as the Boy Browning, when he was the adjutant at Sandhurst at the time, was riding his white charger Spook, and due to inclement weather marched up the steps in his horse or on his horse, and it's now become a tradition that still remains here at the Academy.
And I've been well informed that there's a treat waiting for the horse once he goes up the steps and into the main entrance.
Certainly a number of carrots and even polo mints also help the horse to relax and enjoy his time.
Centre, slow, march.
Cadets now inwards wheel towards Old College. Instantly enough, the Old College is filled with not just accommodation where the cadets actually live and work from, certainly for the junior term, but a number of prestige rooms, and these are provided with tours from the Sandhurst Trust and the Sandhurst Collection, so we can also see the horse when it goes up the steps. What normally happens on the rehearsals is that the adjutant on the inside of the Old College dismounts, and then the horse is led down the corridors. And incidentally, we have had a number of visits in those prestige rooms, noticing a horse marching on a corridor, which is unfamiliar to anyone with that experience. Officer cadets now marching up the Old College steps, where they first marched up there 44 weeks ago, but now as commissioned officers. Just inside the door there is the hall porter, John Archibald, who has been in the Academy for 20 years and always provides assistance for our cadets. He has attended over 60 commissioning parades. So the order of march going into the steps then, as you can see, is first of all the officer cadets in their companies, followed by the junior under officers, and as you can see now, the banner leading the Sovereign's platoon up the centre, followed by the prize givers, the prize winners, and finally the Academy adjutant.
See the prize winners there making their way up the steps. As you say, they'll be followed by the Academy adjutant.
incredibly proud moment for every single officer cadet on parade today. As soon as they cross that threshold of Old College, they have become commissioned officers. They'll then go on to their second phase of training prior to joining their platoons or the units and becoming platoon commanders, leaders of the future. The music has been exceptional here from the British Army Band, Tidworth, with the Director of Music, Captain Robert Smith from Camas.
Absolutely, Carl. And we can now see the adjutant making his way up the steps, so I think it's time for Carl and I to say thank you very much for watching, and we hope you've enjoyed this moment. And we would like to wish all of those cadets commissioning today the best of luck with their future careers in the Army. Thank you.
Thank you, Lydia.